Thank you for tuning in to the Real Tea with T3. I'm your host, Tesia Harris, and I'm also the team leader of Texas Trio Team. We've got a great episode ahead for you about someone really special here in Washington County. And so before we get started, we're going to go around and say who you are and what keeps you busy.
Hi, I'm Deanna Kenisell, and I'm a member of the Texas Trio Team. Happy to be here.
Yeah, always. And so we're going to dive into someone that is really immersed inside of Washington County. So who are you and what keeps you busy these days?
My name is Harrison Williams. I'm the director of the Washington County Expo over here. We're also the home of the fairgrounds.
Awesome. And so if someone's watching and they want to know exactly who specifically you are and what the Washington County Expo covers, could you dive into that for us?
So we cover what is normally considered the county fairgrounds. It is comprised of 84 acres in total of property that we manage. We are responsible for 11 months out of the year. In the 1 month of September, we turn the grounds over to the Fair Association and they run it. During the non-fair times, we host 300 to 400 events throughout the year. We hold every 4-H extension program, preview program under the sun. Here we also hold bread partners and many other local nonprofits utilize our facility.
Excellent. And so 11 months out of the year, you are there and you're diving into all kinds of events. I think you said over 300 events that take place. And so for our community, that's a really big impact.
It's a lot. A lot of people don't realize that we bring in, our facility sees about 150 to 170,000 people a year.
Wow.
Through the gate. So it's a little bit more than the whole population of the county come through every single year. We have an economic impact here locally of about 7 million every single year that we bring in for local businesses, taxes, restaurants, bars, you name it. When we're busy, everyone else is busy.
So with those 300 to 400 events, how many of those are local events here or events that are traveling through or other surrounding areas coming and renting the facility to do an event?
So a lot of folks that we rent to, I'll give you a great example. We have the Freemasons coming next weekend for their sesquicentennial 150th celebration of the Freemason Lodge here in Texas. They are a group out of Dallas coming. There should be about 200 to 300 of them converging on our property next weekend to help hold their celebration. And they're one example. We have Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo in November comes and holds the Calf Scramble Prospect Show with us.
I have a friend that's part of that.
Yeah, I think we get to hold a unique distinction of being one of the only facilities outside of NRG that gets to hold officially Houston sanctioned events. So a lot of folks book with us that are here for the location. They're here because we're in between the big cities. So the predominant folks that we cater to are not the main county residents. They're the folks that are coming in and bringing in either a traveling show or they're looking for a good wedding destination right in between, and maybe cannot afford one of the the very fancy wedding venues we have here in town.
So on those 84 acres, what different facilities do you have there that are able to be rented out?
We'll rent anything. We literally rented a field last year for a pesticide test to help control Johnson grass. So we could field test some new application methods to help lower Johnson grass throughout the rest of the county. We partnered with A&M. So we'll literally rent anything. But we do predominantly equestrian and livestock events. So our big barns down there, we cater to the Western disciplines, predominantly cutting horses, barrel racings, and ropings. And then we do breed shows and sales as well on the cattle side. And then on the small livestock side, we have the swine events. We just had the SIFT in July, our big swine show, which is a crazy time if no one's ever come and seen it. There's about 300 pigs and 2,000 people come out, and it's kind of a madhouse, but it's a really good time. And then we do a lot of quinceañeras and weddings. Actually, quinceañeras make up 16% of our.
And what's the capacity on the building that they're renting for that one?
They can rent, so the event center, the big one up on the corner, usually will seat about 300, pretty snug. And then we have the traditional VIP room that's about 200.
Okay.
For our facility, we do not really like to accept groups less than 100 people because in our market, we have all these amazing small venues like the laundry just over there. We don't need to compete with that. So we're happy to send them elsewhere. So when folks come to book with us, that's one of the first questions we ask: how big? And if your group's too small, we say, here's a list of every other
Nice.
venue in town.
It's cool of you.
Yeah. Well, we try. We're a tax funded entity. So our goal is always to help, sell the city of Brenham, sell Washington County. And then if you're always looking for a caterer, here's all of our local folks. Here's who's local. Here's every business, restaurant, etc. in the area.
So if you are one of those people that would like to be on your list, they just contact you to get on the list, or do you vet them in some way, or what's that process look like?
Just call.
Okay.
And then one of the questions we do ask is, what is kind of the sweet spots? Like caterers, can you do, are you that 100 to 250? Are you that 250 to 500? Or if you're that 1,000 person plus? And we try to kind of break it down so we can send a little bit more targeted folks your way.
So how many things are you, like, how far in advance are you booked out?
2027.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah, we have stuff going out to 2030.
And are those like the repeat kind of things that happen every single year?
Yeah, we have contracts that go out to like 2033, 2034, 2035. So we book out pretty far in advance, especially on the livestock show. And livestock side of our business fills up. The weddings and quinceañeras, you'll usually fill up about 8 months out before, but we book up pretty darn quickly.
And do you have a calendar on your website where they can see if things are available, or do they need to reach out to you to see what's?
We recommend that folks reach out. So like this time of the year, we'll be balancing all the different breed associations that are trying to come, and we have all the folks who've been here regularly. Are you keeping your same dates? And then we kind of juggle stuff around. A lot of times what we'll try to do is we'll rent multiple buildings at any given weekend.
Okay, I was about to ask that. Yeah. So you can have multiple leasees coming in on different things.
So at one time we won't do this again, but one time down at the big barns down there, we had a horse show going on in the big one. We had the Texas Carnival glass sale in the sales facility in the middle and a bull sale on the other side.
Oh, wow.
And then we had a quinceañera going up the hill and then a wedding. We're not doing that again.
Great time.
It was a great time. Carnival Glass is still here. She moved up the way to a building a little farther away, but at any given time, we'll have 2 to 3 different buildings rented and getting used.
Now, there have been times where I've gone out there for like a wildlife meeting, or I think there's one Sunday that maybe the Cowboy Church hosts their service at some point out there. And I see animals that do they stay out there to be raised? Like, is that a thing too? What is that?
No, we don't. Our neighbor has cows that sometimes get out. We chase them back. We're a little bit more country. We're on the countryside of Brenham. But no, so we have certain shows that'll stay with us for a whole week.
Okay, maybe that's
so we do some week-long shows where the cows and usually the swine will live out there for a whole week with us.
Okay, so the FFA kids can't like rent out a stall or something out there.
No.
Got it.
We
Okay.
don't do that.
Okay.
Cool. So you have been very involved in the community just beyond like working there. And so like last night we were all at the same event and it was so busy with so many people from the community. Like I didn't see you there. I mean, like, and so like there's a lot of people. Yeah. And so like what pieces like of the community are you really having to dive into to, stay aware of what's going on and also have those other businesses that you can rely on when it doesn't work out for what you're doing?
So I sit on the City of Brenham's Tourism Advisory Board. So that kind of helps us stay up to date.
I think there's a lot of crossover.
There's a lot of crossover. And then I'm fortunate that I just started my first year on the chamber board. And so just kind of being involved in those a couple different things kind of has allowed me to stay in contact with what's going on. And I call in and check on like our hoteliers once or twice a year, see what's going on. And I bump into the economic development folks pretty often at different events.
They were there last night.
They were.
Yeah.
Lisa was
Yeah.
in great form. We have fun. It's an interesting little community because you just get so much overlap going to all these different events that you never have to schedule a meeting. You just go, all right, well, the golf tournament is going to be at 2 o'clock. I'll see everyone then.
That's nice.
So how did you get into like this? Like what led you into stepping into this role in such a large capacity?
Great question. So when I was finishing school, I'm originally from Oregon. Don't hold it against me.
I'm not from here either.
I'm not from Portland. I have to make that very, very clear. I'm from a really small country town of about 75 people. So Brenham's a sprawling metropolis. Y'all have more than one stoplight, which is just impressive. When I was finishing school, I was working at my county fairgrounds as an intern. And then I finished and stayed there for a few years. And we were in the process of renovating one of our indoor arenas. We had a 33,000 square foot wooden indoor arena, which was really cool. In the process of converting it to a convention center. And I needed a new challenge, and this opportunity opened up here in Brenham. And I think the good Lord has a way, and he's like, well, get going. So I applied online, flew down and interviewed during the pandemic, and then I've been here since 5 years and some change.
Hey, that's awesome. And
Yeah.
so, I mean, you had a little bit of a background, working kind of in like the, you know, farm and ranch industry up there in Oregon, but what were the things that you have learned about yourself coming down here as far as like operating such like in such a large capacity as far as like time management and business operations?
Time management is key, and delegation is your friend. We do a lot just beyond being our facility, and what's cool is so we are one department within the county, but we are part of that greater county team, so we pitch in and help in other efforts throughout the county. So we delegate a lot internally to our staff, but what's really great is we're able to lean on others. Time management is probably one of the strongest things that I'm really, really good at. Is I like to block time on my calendar. First we don't start our first meetings till 7 in the morning, and then start blocking time for different sections and different activities.
That's incredible. So, as far as like time blocking,
Mhm.
is that something that you like in the role that you're in that you are having to audit on a regular basis, or you've got it so advanced because your schedule's so far out?
I'm not gonna pull up my calendar and make most folks cry.
Me too.
It's a little bad. But Mondays are catch up days, Tuesdays are meeting days, Wednesdays are work in the office days, Thursdays back to meeting days, and then Fridays are whatever. You just
Catch up on.
buckle up and hang on, because that's a lot of times with the weekend's beginning, you have events moving in, so you don't really plan anything, which is great because then you get to come do fun stuff like this.
Yeah. So if you're going to like, maybe that's something that someone as a business owner or entrepreneur wants to add into like their business habits.
Mhm.
What are ways that you make adjustments whenever things come up that take you off kilter?
I just work later and work more into the night, so I'm not the best one. I'm a workaholic. But I think for adjusting to inconveniences, it just kind of depends on what it is. A lot of times when we have to cancel, or if I have to cancel a meeting and push something back, it's gonna be X amount of time before we can circle
Go
back.
back around.
Especially like during events, one of the first things that we do is we'll get bombarded by all the from different folks needing help with this, that, or the other thing. And always our first response is, we'll get to it in the order it's received, unless it's like we'll get to it, I promise. But prioritizing requests, and you can't get to everything all at once, but you just take it in stride, I suppose.
I'm so genuinely curious, like, just to like my husband like works in like the construction world and like the world that we work in. Like you are almost at the mercy of other people's like correspondence with you, communication, and just their schedules overall. So I'm curious, like, how much of an impact does it make if you're not getting those things reciprocated back to you and what your role is?
Um, Everything with patience. I rely on a lot of folks for I need to know by X time. I'm a big if you do not tell me by this, then
Mhm.
I do not guarantee I can.
With events, there's a lot of advancement that has to take place. So I used to travel the country going to different venues every day. And a big part of my job was advancing with the venue. And if they're not advancing with you, you're not there ready for them when they arrive.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of his work, right, I would assume is done ahead of time so that you can have it ready for them. But then once they're there, it's constant.
And the nice thing is
Yes, I need that.
I have a really awesome gal on my team, Miss Lennon. I don't know if y'all had a chance to meet her last night. But she helps keep everything organized. If I don't have Kathleen, I'll die. She's the lifeblood that keeps us going. But when we book so far out, we already know what's coming a year ahead of time. And then it allows us to coordinate our schedules around those major events.
So there's no like last minute, normally like crisis things that happen to affect. That's good.
No. I'm a little anal retentive on the planning side, so everything is very structured.
I would think the parties might be a little bit more last minute, right?
That's
as far
what
as
I
like
was
kind of giving
thinking.
you a head count.
Yeah, but even then we can kind of
Guesstimate,
we've done it long enough that it
You know
just
what to
becomes an
expect.
old hat and you go, oh, well, we think we're going to get 150. We go, well, last time you got 200, so we'll just plan for 200.
Gotcha.
Because we keep, for all of our folks that have rented for us for 5 years, 10 years, 30 years, we keep track of every single year and then look back.
So historicals are really important.
We do. We look back at all of our historicals and then can anticipate your needs before you probably know you need them. So we can be better prepared.
And know what to ask them. Some
Mhm.
things, some people don't do parties all the time, so they might not even know that's information you need.
Yeah. Well, like a lot of weddings, when they come to us, they say, okay, well, we want to do a wedding for 300 people. Okay, well, do you want round tables?
Right.
Okay, you're going to need to call this person. You going to cater this yourself? Nope. You're going to want to call these folks over here. Here's a list that will do 300.
Right.
So we've kind of developed this little tool bank to help get ahead of a lot of those potential problems.
But what's your staff look like?
Okay, so there is.
You're right. You know, you got really good kudos to them.
So there is me and Miss Lennon in the office, and then I have a great marketing gal that we just hired this year, Sheree, for part time, and then we have 3 full-time maintenance staff, and that's it.
That's it.
That's it.
So like those 3 maintenance staff, that's who's setting up those like tables and like tearing down and getting everything ready for the next group that's coming in.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And some of that can be back to back. Like you could have a party on a Saturday night and then load and steer the next morning for something different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's your whole staff.
That's it.
You don't have any part-timers that you call
Hence
in?
his anal retentive schedule.
Runners, you don't have any like day of show kind of people that you.
So our schedule is we have some that work during the week, and then we have a dedicated weekend person. So he's always there to help tend to your needs. For all that last minute stuff. If God forbid, someone forgot to plug in a microphone, recharge it, he's there with batteries. He knows how to run all of our sound equipment. There's a lot of cross training that we do. We heavily embraced automation a few years ago. So all of our doors are automatic. Everything runs on schedules and everything is set usually a week out before your event. Which allows us not to have a lot of staff. But we do, for like cleaning out our barns, we do bring in some contract laborers to help get those turned around, because there's sometimes where you have 2-day turnaround on 3 different barns, and you can't do that with 3 people. It's just not possible.
Right. Especially when you have a horse show, bull show, and then like a glass show, like in the quinceanera.
At the same time.
I'm just imagining like a bunch of people riding bulls.
Yeah.
It's always party. You're at the wrong. Well, the best part when we first did that is the gal that puts it on, love her to death, Miss Dorothy Morgan, our former county judge a few years ago. She said, well, we want this building. Dorothy, you don't want that. You're gonna listen to our advice. So a lot of times we'll give advice, folks will ignore it, and then they come back the next year. Okay, fine, we'll do what you said. We'll move. Which is always kind of a fun conversation. You just sit there and go, okay, yeah, that's right. But it's an interesting time. We always stay busy.
So, you not being from the area, we're not either. And so I'm just curious, like, what are some, if you don't mind sharing, what are some of your favorite events that you've been a part of?
Ooh. At our facility or throughout the county?
Either.
I think The Burton Cotton Gin Festival is by far one of my favorites. Mayfest is forever a blast. We get to help get the Mayfest floats out the door and get them going. So we kind of sit there behind the scenes getting everything. We get to participate in some little way with Mayfest, and then obviously the county fair is a blast. But I think a lot of my favorite events, anyways, are the cuttings that we do. I'm a horse person. I used to ride horses. They are forever one of my most favorite events that we get to do. And then just watching all the different groups that come in. The book sale, the Fort Nightly Club here locally does their big book sale down on our property. And if you've never participated in that, I would encourage you to. It is insanity.
Define insanity of what you mean by that. In a good way.
It's an adventure. It's in a great way. So we get the little old ladies of Fortnightly, and I love them to death. Will come take over our building for about 2 weeks, and we will get semi-truck after semi-truck of books, and they organize all these
like
books.
new books or used books?
It's a used book sale, and they set up for about a week and a half, 2 weeks. They get everything perfect, everything really organized. I stay far away, and they're a fun event. And then opening day, there is literally a line of book collectors lining in a line down our parking lot, and they come from like San Antonio, Louisiana.
I had no idea that anything like that even took place.
It's the craziest thing. It's insane.
And so do they sell out of all those books?
Yeah.
2 semis full of books.
At least 2 semis.
Wow.
They fill 7,000 square feet full of books. It's insane.
Well, I'm like shocked. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah,
that's impressive.
It's a really fun event that we get to hold here.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. It's a fundraiser for them. And I think last year they generated 20 some odd $1,000 for the local library.
Wow.
Yeah.
So when is that?
Fortnightly. So can't remember off.
Like if you remember,
March.
like spring.
I think it's in February or March.
Okay.
Usually. But one of the things we're starting to do is Miss Shuri, so for the last 5 years, we've never done any sort of promotion. We grew everything solely off of word of mouth. But when we did that, but then we realized a lot of the local folks don't know all these cool events that are actually open to the public. If you just want to come spectate or purchase books or participate in glass, her job is to now help push that out.
And so now you've got a girl that's doing social media, so that will make a big difference, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's a new frontier from us. We've doubled our business in the last 5 years since I've started.
Congratulations.
Thank you. From pre-pandemic numbers, and we did that all off word of mouth and good old sweat equity.
So with that many events, do you have room for more?
No.
Okay.
So the biggest problem we have right now is we have events that would like to come, and we have events that want to stay but are quickly outgrowing what we have left on the property. Whether that is we need more stalling, we need another arena, we need bigger buildings, which is great. We're experiencing that growth. And then we have the continued revenue stream to support that growth.
I'm curious, like on the Bluebell Fun Run, like that was almost 4,000 people, right?
That's insanity.
Yeah. But was it just the parking or
that's just parking.
Yeah.
So for the fun run, I think there's 4,000 runners plus their families and friends that show up. So that's like 8,000 people.
So were you coordinating like that whole thing with the buses and like all of that, or is that like an outside entity, like the city or something like that?
So that is put on by the association that puts on the fun run. They help coordinate all the buses. And then what we do is help get everyone out of the property after the fun run.
Because that was even like police and stuff that were there, to navigate that.
It's a big community undertaking between the police office, the sheriff's office, the school district. All the components have to come together to make that event work in getting everyone out. And we always get a lot of folks from the city whose cars may have never parked in a field. So we do a lot of towing during that and getting them back out. And it's just always a fun time, but it's stuff like that, just last minute Right. Got stuck.
Yeah, our team had sponsored like the junior high runners last year. And so that was my first time going, watching it. And so like whenever they sent out the thing, like right, but the informational and it was like, 4,000 runners. I'm like, what? And then it was wild.
And then they sell out. There is no last minute running slots available. It books out really fast. It's an impressive undertaking that team puts on. We're lucky that we're just able to host all those cars.
Yeah, definitely. I just didn't realize you guys had 84 acres.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of folks don't. So we have what's like the fairgrounds proper right there, and then we have another couple acres across the street, and then along Old Independence, we have another about 12 or 13 acres right there that wrap around the sheriff's office that we fill up with full of parking.
So that's what that's for, is just parking.
Mm-hmm.
So are there any plans for expansion?
For parking?
No, for buildings. Like you're saying, some of these events are like growing bigger than.
Last year, we did an economic and feasibility study to look at the viability of how big we can support and where do you start? When you start talking about growth, especially in publicly funded facilities, people get a little leery. So we did all the data part first. We did the boring, frankly, unsexy bit first. And we looked at, we can support another 300 horse stalls. We can support an extra arena up to 5,000 seats total fixed, which is large. So and right now, to give you some context, the silver bleachers that y'all drive by every day, that seats about 1,700.
Okay.
So we can grow for the next 30 years to about 4,000 to 5,000 seats pretty comfortably. I think what we have to look at is, as much as we would like to grow, how do we afford that growth responsibly? And how do we design something that fits our community and is something that is very functional and not fancy? I think I'm going on my soapbox here. A lot of times in publicly funded projects, a lot of municipalities and in counties across the United States will build these very fancy, very nice buildings that are probably overkill. We don't need that in this community. We just need something that has good airflow.
Butts and seats.
Butts and seats, good airflow, full bathroom. That's it. And so we're looking at how all those chunks will fit onto our property.
Well, and also with you being so full all the time, how do you make that construction happen and not shut down bookings at the same time, right? I would think that is like a work of art all in itself.
That's what Miss London's really good at. Yeah, so we have to look if we start construction. One of the main challenges we'll say, okay, we're going to have to start this year and say, okay, we are going to have to find a second home for this show, this show, this show, and this show. Yeah. When Waller County was building their new covered rodeo arena, we took in a lot of their horse shows for that brief period, and then some of them never left. So we're happy to have them here still. But that's just part of the job is calendar. Coordinating a calendar around all of that is kind of interesting. But it'll be an interesting project to watch it. We've learned we're in the process of doing the final master plan for that whole site. We've learned a lot about drainage, which, as real estate professionals, floodplain drainage, I will be so happy if I never have to learn or talk about drainage ever again, because that's been an interesting educational process. Our property was acquired by the county in 1946, when the county fair outgrew Fireman's Park. So we're the second home. And when you have a property from the 40s and a lot of volunteer effort, there's a lot of things buried where things shouldn't have been buried. And so we've been going back and finding water lines, electric lines. We just got our survey done a few months ago, got it back, totally completed. Thank you, Hody. Found a sewer line we didn't know we had, which is great. which is great. Now we know where we can maybe add another bathroom structure. And taking all of that data and information and saying, okay, well, it'd be great. Let's put this here and it'll improve parking like this. It'll improve traffic flow and it'll provide for a greater guest experience while you're on the grounds.
Great.
So you've been here for a few years. What do you love most about this area in comparison to where you're from?
Well, I'm from wine country, so that's a tough question. One of the things that I really like about Washington County is the rolling hills of the county are truly beautiful. I think the agricultural roots here are so strong, and there's so much to do around here. I'm not really a city person, but I think it's great that Houston and Austin's just respectively an hour away on either end. But Oregon's a really heavy recreation state, but you can go kayaking and paddleboarding out on Lake Somerville if you want. There's a lot of opportunity to get out in nature and do it here. It's just not well advertised sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But the lake has I found this the other day. There's like a visit Lake Somerville Instagram or something. And they always have, here's what's going on out that way. I'm a big water person. But I just like all the rural nature of it. It feels very homey. And it's rare to get such a tightly knit community too.
Mm-hmm.
Especially tightly knit, but with such three very different identities in it. Chapel Hill is one total set of folks. Brenham's another, and Burton is a whole third party. And it's just such a unique blend of personalities that makes it a really good time.
Definitely. So I'm so curious to know, like, when you were in Oregon, like you wanted a challenge. So what have you learned about yourself stepping into such a big role in a community?
Oh. I would say just the sheer volume of grit and perseverance. So when I started, it was COVID. We set up that sub hub. And then that was 20. And then 21 was Uri. We had 7 different structures flood while we were doing COVID. So to kind of get hit with all of that all at once.
Goodness.
It was a great
Questioning what you did.
Someone's got a plan. It ain't me, but someone's got it. But just kind of learning more about, the perseverance that it takes to kind of stick through, some of these really once in a lifetime routine events, it feels like almost.
That you just got back to back to back.
Back to back to back to back. And just kind of how to put your head down, smile, and keep going. I think has been something really interesting that I've learned about myself.
So do you have anything, like, if maybe there's somebody that's thinking about like just being on the fence about chasing after their dream, what would you tell them?
I think the first thing I do is there's an industry that you're really interested in, find a very good mentor, or an association or something, and then figure out if that is truly what you want to do. And then just jump in with both feet or the best that you can. And just work from sun up to sundown. And it's just, I think it's one of those things you kind of got to figure out. You found the right thing when it doesn't feel like work anymore.
I love that so much. And so if people want to reach out to you, if they like are maybe considering doing an event, in 2027 when you've got availability, what's the best way that they can reach out to you?
If you're looking for booking an event, the best way is to go onto our website at Washington County Expo and reach out to us on there. Either myself or Miss Lennon will get back to you, usually within 24 hours. If you got other questions, I'll give out my cell phone number. It's 979-530-7102. And just call or text whenever. It rings all the time.
We really appreciate you coming on with us and teaching us more about what's going on in our community.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. It's been very enjoyable.
Yes, absolutely. If you want to reach out to us or if you have any questions about Washington County or what's going on in our area, you can find us at texastrioteam.com. Take care and keep living your best life.